Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the August Q&A video. I asked you to send me whatever questions that you had, this time in the YouTube community tab, because so many of you demanded that I use that YouTube community tab for something, so here it is. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I know that you're gonna fall in love with his YouTube channel because we always upload daily wrestling content. All right, let's jump to your question. What is your favorite WWE game? I used to be heavily invested in WWE games. I had all of the PS1 games like WWF Warzone, WWF Attitude. I had every PS2 game, I'm pretty sure, all of the SmackDown versus Raws, all of the SmackDown games like Shut Your Mouth and Here Comes the Pain. But I fell out of love with wrestling video games in the 2010s, and I didn't really fall back in love with them until the recent 2K games because of the showcase mode, like the Rey Mysterio showcase, the John Cena showcase, and the WrestleMania showcase. To me are just such a beautiful love letters, not just to WWE video game fans, but WWE fans in general. I will say though, my favorite WWE game is a game called WWE Day of Reckoning 2 that was only on the GameCube because of just how insane the roster is. That game came out at like the height of the Ruthless Aggression Era, so it's got an insane roster that really speaks to me because that's when I started to watch wrestling in the early Ruthless Aggression Era. So to have a video game that is pretty much just the best love letter to Ruthless Aggression Era fans, I have to go with the Day of Reckoning 2. If you had to alter any storyline, which storyline would you choose and how would you change it? I would make the Booker T versus Triple H storyline leading into WrestleMania 19 not so damn racially motivated. It was just so uncomfortable, and it definitely was not a good idea that if you were going to do a racially charged storyline to have the guy doing the role of the racist guy win. That's just a terrible idea. I would make it about something else entirely, and I would sure shit have Booker T win as well. If you had to choose between Obafemi and Jacob Fatu, who would you choose? I think if I'm thinking like a long-term businessman, I would go with Obafemi because he's got more years left in him as well. But if I'm thinking of making like a major storyline right now, I would go with Jacob Fatu. It all really depends. Like, what are you looking for here? I will say, I haven't heard Jacob Fatu on the microphone in WWE aside from when he acknowledged Solo Sikoa during that acknowledgement ceremony. Meanwhile, Obafemi is awesome on the mic and he controls a crowd, which is such an awesome thing to see from somebody that has such a few years of experience under his belt. Like, Obafemi as a long-term investment might be the right call, but if I wanted to make a storyline today, I think Jacob Fatu is the call. If you could do a current superstar shakeup, who would you switch to what respective brand? I would probably just send Jey Uso back to SmackDown. I think that the Jey Uso main event Uso World Heavyweight Championship train has come and left, and it unfortunately didn't have Jey Uso on it. I feel like he's done everything that he's going to be able to do on Monday Night Raw, unless they just decide to flick the switch randomly on him. I just don't see it happening. So I feel like he would be more valuable over on Friday Night SmackDown as being an addition to the Bloodline storyline, and maybe somehow he ends up winning undisputed gold there. I don't know how we get to that, but at the very least, it's uncharted waters, and we've seen him try to get the world title on Raw, and it just hasn't worked. He hasn't even been able to win like Money in the Bank or anything major as a single star. So let's just go back to SmackDown and just have him be part of this Bloodline storyline for a little while. In terms of who I'd go the other way around, I know that he is going to be vital for the Bloodline storyline, but I'm kind of just done with Kevin Owens and the Bloodline. I'd like to see something new for Kevin Owens. As he said, he's been battling the Bloodline for like 3 years consecutively now. I need to see something new from Kevin Owens, who's one of the best in the industry, and just having him be typecast as one of the guys that goes up against the Bloodline every single month is getting a little bit tiresome. I'd like to see him feud with so many of the awesome superstars that are over on Monday Night Raw that could give us a really intriguing storyline between them and Kevin Owens. Santi, it's really nice to have you because we don't have friends to talk about WWE or wrestling in general. Thank you, man. That means a lot, and I'd actually want to send it right back your way because the reason why I watch so much wrestling is because I have wrestling friends around me to talk about wrestling with now. And those wrestling friends are you in my live streams, because otherwise I would probably just revert back to what I was doing in the 2010s, which is just to watch wrestling through the YouTube clips and again, just sort of keep it to myself that I'm a wrestling fan. Because I have this following, it allows me to have this outlet to talk about wrestling. And because this community exists, it gives you the opportunity to join this community and, you know, talk about whatever it is that you want during the live streams about wrestling. So I do weirdly think that this is the reason why individual content creators that talk about wrestling are now seeing a rise as opposed to just like news outlets. I feel like that might be a thing of the past where the only thing people want is to know, you know, like the dirt on what's going to happen in wrestling. I feel like now wrestling fans want community and to be able to have an outlet within that community to talk about wrestling. I feel like it's why people like myself, Wheezy Blonde, Conman are starting to see this popularity over the last year and a bit. Did you go to school or pursue college? What were your aspirations before YouTube and what made you pursue YouTube? I did go to school. I'm graduated with a degree in legal studies and political science. The idea was to go to law school, and I applied to law school and I was accepted to various law schools. I just didn't end up going because I had found accidentally, weirdly enough, a job that I was good at, which was sales, that was making me really good money. And the plan was to work sales for a while and then go off to law school. But I ended up just sort of staying in the world of sales. I moved into like tech sales and selling software and whatnot. So I was doing pretty good for myself before all of this YouTube stuff. But yeah, the aspiration was always law school, and I just like never did it, even though it was right there. If you could pick one wrestler's career to revive and start over from the beginning in today's era, who would it be? Ooh, I think that's a phenomenal question. I think I have two answers from you. I feel like these two guys would have been better served in today's landscape of wrestling. And I'm going to go with Cesaro, who's now Claudio over in AEW, or Rusev. Like Rusev, man, that like 6-month stretch with him and Lana, him being like the Russian guy coming out to the Russian national anthem at WrestleMania in the tank, like it was so awesome. And I feel like they fumbled the ball with him in a way that just doesn't make sense. But I feel in like today's landscape of WWE booking, somebody like Rusev and Claudio, aka Cesaro, would flourish a lot more. Am I delusional for waiting for Randy to break Ric Flair's record? I think at this point you might be delusional if you think that he's going to do it before Cena. And that's not just me being the Cena fanboy. I think that that's the plan for John Cena's retirement. But I think once the dust settles, the 1-2, it's going to be, if not 1-2, it could be 1-1. They're tied. Is going to be Cena and Randy Orton. I think that the WWE, they're kind of just good with Ric Flair. I feel like they want to erase him from the history books, and the two best people to do it with is Randy and John Cena. So I don't think you're delusional, but I think Cena is going to do it first. If you could be remembered for anything when you pass, what would it be and why? It actually wouldn't be anything to do with wrestling or YouTube or anything like that. I just want to be remembered as a good person, somebody that was charitable, someone that cared for their friends, somebody that cared for their family. And I feel like I'm taking those steps to be remembered in that way by the people in my immediate circle. The people online will remember me the way that they think that I've portrayed myself online. But to me, it's more important about how the people in my immediate social circle will see me as when I move on. After all of these years of watching wrestling, what's a moment or a match or anything in general that you look back on with utter fondness? It is the Ruthless Aggression Era. And yes, it is because I grew up in that era. So by default, I just sort of have this feeling of like, what a carefree life I had when the Ruthless Aggression Era was on. But even just kind of looking back on that era, it's so weird. It's just such a weird era of wrestling because it was WWE experimenting with like a dozen guys, hoping that they could find the next guy to take the ball, like Steve Austin. They tried with like Brock Lesnar. They tried with Kurt Angle, Eddie Guerrero. They gave a shot to Rey Mysterio. They're like, sure, JBL, have a record-breaking championship run because we don't really have anything else. All right, yeah, let's try the Cena kid. Let's try Batista. Sure, Randy, let's give it a shot. That's why I love the Ruthless Aggression Era, because so many people got a chance to hold the ball and try and run with it, when nowadays it's really difficult to get a hold of that ball or even be near the ball. That's why I love that they introduced the World Heavyweight Championship, because before that, when it was just Roman Reigns hogging the titles, no one was getting that chance to prove themselves with a title. But look at what Damian Priest did with that title. He really made himself undeniable, and we saw that like every 6 months in the Ruthless Aggression Era. That's why, to me, it's just such a fun period in wrestling. Will the Sporkle quizzes ever return? My dude, you're an OG in this channel. Maybe one day. If not as a dedicated YouTube video, maybe I'll make shorts doing Sporkle quizzes, or maybe I'll do them on a live stream. But as it stands right now, I feel like my content has evolved a lot more beyond quizzes and trivia, but maybe one day, just as a little bout of nostalgia. Sati, what is the most expensive WWE item you own? This might be shocking to people, but probably this shirt. Like, I just don't collect WWE memorabilia. I'm considering getting a couple of titles for the background of the videos and the live streams, but as of right now, like, I don't have any titles, I don't have any action figures, I don't have any commemorative plaques or anything like that. Actually, I wish I had it here. I do have my SummerSlam chair, but even I didn't buy that, so I think it's the John Cena shirt. A moment you will never forget in your whole YouTube career. It sucks because it is a moment that really can't be celebrated because of the individual involved, but me getting to interview Hulk Hogan is like the most utter insanity that has ever happened to me. Like, that is just not something that I was expecting, for it to be my very first interview with a WWE wrestler, WWE legend, for it to be like one of the WWE legends. Obviously, like, his past, his controversy makes it really hard, you know, for me to like really celebrate and boast about it or anything like that. But that was a moment where things just were like, holy shit, how are these opportunities coming my way? And hopefully I get even bigger ones down the line. What is your favorite wrestling event that you have ever been to in person? I don't think that it's recency bias. I do think it is the most recent SummerSlam. I was in utter shock and awe. It doesn't matter where I would have been sitting. Had I been as close as I was or in the nosebleeds, I think it would have been the best wrestling show that I've been to either way. That was one of the best SummerSlams I've ever seen. I think in the last 20 years, I can't think of a better SummerSlam than that. I have to go back to SummerSlam 2002 to find a better SummerSlam than SummerSlam 2024. So I got to witness something special. I got to see the return of the Tribal Chief. I got to see a fantastic set of matches. I got to finally see CM Punk live in person. Man, yeah, it's SummerSlam 2024. Are you planning to maybe visit a PLE outside of the United States in the future? Greetings from Germany. I would love to. I now have the wrestling event bug. I want to go to more events after the awesome experience that was SummerSlam. And also, you guys really dug that SummerSlam vlog that I made. So I would also love to be able to travel to these events to make more videos like that specifically. Will I go to like the international PLEs? Hell yeah, man. I feel like those are the ones to go to. Like, you know, like how crazy it would have been to have been in Backlash France with that crowd. That is a unique experience that you cannot find in the continental United States or Canada. I would love to be at Bash in Berlin. I would love to go to those events. How did you start to learn how to make wrestling YouTube content? Because I would love to learn how to make wrestling content, etc. The really like type of content doesn't matter, like wrestling, gaming, maybe you want to do stuff about movies. YouTube is your best friend. At the end of the day, like everything that you need to know as to how to edit, how to market yourself, all of it is available on YouTube. There's like entire degrees that you can learn on YouTube if you want to. I'm pretty sure you could learn the Harvard degree of computer science directly on YouTube. Like, we have such a insane, unprecedented access to information in today's landscape that basic things like learning how to edit, how to do Photoshop, it's all just within a couple of clicks and a couple of searches on YouTube, and you'll find the most detailed tutorial, or maybe you want quick tutorials, just YouTube things, bro. Why don't more people consider Kurt Angle as the GOAT? I think it's because he didn't spend his whole career in the WWE, or like his best years even in the WWE, because I think that he had his best run while he was outside of the WWE and TNA. I think that's the only reason why people don't consider him the GOAT, which I think is kind of crazy to think about, because I think he had a phenomenal GOAT-worthy all-around wrestling career. Which is bigger, Royal Rumble or SummerSlam? What's your opinion? I think that before the announcement of the two-night SummerSlam and the fact that now SummerSlam has a road to SummerSlam that starts at King and Queen of the Ring and a tournament to crown a number one contenders, I would have said the Royal Rumble. But now I think the answer has to be SummerSlam, especially with that road to SummerSlam going to two nights. They're going to be treating it as a second WrestleMania, and I don't think that they're going to do that with the Rumble just yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's just around the corner as well. What is your favorite Hell in a Cell match? Oh, this is so easy. It is the Undertaker Triple H end of an era Hell in a Cell WrestleMania 28, Shawn Michaels as a special guest referee. It's one of my favorite matches of all time. All right, folks, thank you so much for sending in your questions in this Q&A. I'll try to maybe just keep these to the YouTube community tab because I do hot takes on Twitter. Maybe I'll spread the love across the various different platforms that I have. But okay, I'm done. Bye. Get out of here.